Nigerians. This is King H, the radical Pan-Africanist. Nigerians, since your election came up, since the election was announced by ENEC, you guys have been screaming, shouting, yelling against the government, how bad the government is, how evil the government, of course, how corrupt the government. Look, Nigerians, there's no country on this earth that's not corrupt. Nigeria is not the most corrupt nation in the world. Cameroon may be even more corrupt than Nigeria, but still, Cameroon is still not the most corrupt nation in the world. The most corrupt nations are the ones that use the resources of Africa without paying shit. We're fighting this war against Africans, the entire Africa, almost 400, maybe going 500 years now. They keep screaming about how bad the government of Nigeria is. Nigeria is not the most corrupt nation. We got bigger fish to fry, Africans. Nigerians, you are the heart of Africa. You are the heart of West Africa, and you're the heart of Africa. Africa can never ever grow without Nigeria being involved. There's a change in power. A change that if Africans get involved, we might change our status. Nigeria might have a strong economy, an economy that's as strong as I won't say US, but as strong as Brazil, or even bigger than Brazil. But why can't our economy in Africa grow? Because the resources of Africa has been exploited, overexploited by other nations. That's the true corruption that's been happening in Africa. Not the petty corruption that the government of Nigeria plays, not the petty corruption that the government of Cameroon plays. Because they play with petty corruption. They don't have bigger schemes of corruption that exploit nations, that exploit continents, that exploit people. Yeah, their scheme is so minute, so small. We're distracted by that little corruption, but we don't see the bigger schemes, the global corruption that is happening. But we must pay attention to it, Nigerians. Pay attention to what's going on. The government of Nigeria has put in their application to be part of BRICS. Other African nations have put their application to be part of BRICS. That's the biggest scheme of things that we have to look at. Nigeria needs to increase the GDP. Africa needs to increase the GDP. And in order for Africa to increase her GDP, other nations in the world will have to fall, because there's one huge global GDP. And those who enjoy the global GDP is US. You got some European countries. You got China. Even Russia doesn't enjoy that huge GDP. This is like 1 point something billion. That's their GDP. The US GDP is what? 23 billion or something, 20 something billion. Or was it trillion or whatever? But if Nigeria wants to grow her GDP and wants to have wealth in the continent of Africa, then we have to look at bigger things. You have to stop looking at little things. Yes, Nigeria has money, but is Nigeria as rich as European nations? Look at Germany. Germany is 4 point something trillion. The entire GDP of Germany is bigger than the entire GDP of Africa, which include Nigeria. So we need to look at bigger things, not little things. There is no perfect way of having a president or having an election. There's always going to be some kind of corruption, so long as the president comes and go. Look at Cameroon. For more than 40 years, you want to compare your newly elected president, who is in there in day one. This is his day one as president. But President Paul Biya has been in power for over 40-something years. You think you can compare that corruption with what happened in it? Cannot. You cannot compare your newly elected president to President Paul Biya, who's been there for over 40 years. You can't. But because you are blinded by what you are looking, you're saying, your newly elected president is just same as Paul Biya. It's not. But it's not all about the president. Presidents are not the only one that change things in the nation. Governors play a role. You have 36 governors. What roles are they playing in the states, in all the 36 states? You also need to hold the governors accountable, the senators. And we have to look at things in a different way, not just holding the president accountable. The president is not the god of the nation. He's just one man. Yes, he can do much, but that much cannot radically change the nation without the governors, the senators, and everybody has to play their role. So there's bigger fish to fry, Nigerians. Stop crying about your governor or your president. Stop crying about your president, because he is not the most corrupt leader. I don't see him as the most corrupt president in the world. There are more corrupt presidents and there are more corrupt governments, and there are more corrupt companies that influence Nigeria, that influence Africa. We gotta look at the bigger picture. How can Africa grow her GDP? We gotta take it from somewhere else. But how do we do it legally, like every other nation that have done it? That is the loophole that the continent of Africa has to look into if we want to actually grow. So stop complaining about your president. He's not the most corrupt president in the world. This is his first day as president. But President Paul Biya has been there for over 40 years. So there's no comparison. You've had change in power. Cameroon hasn't had change in power for 40-something years. Hasn't. Stop thinking that Nigeria is the most corrupt. Stop screaming and yelling and shouting on Facebook about your president, your newly elected president. We have bigger fish to fry. You want your GDP to grow? You want more money in your nation, more resources? Think and act boldly. This is King H, the Radical Pan-Africanist.